Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Factorio Bob's Angels, episode 42. So we start off with the lovely loud sound of the sapphirite mining area. The resource monitor has indicated that the normal patches are going to run out in 4 hours, I think that says, or it keeps jumping around quite a bit, but it's not very accurate because I haven't actually got the whole patch covered in miners. I completely forgot about the resource monitor. I should really go and scan all the patches because it at least gives us the ability to view the area remotely, but it also tells us when the normal patch is going to run out and how much we're getting from the infinite patch as well. So it is kind of handy to have that done. So I'll go around and scan all the patches at some point. So I did say in the last episode that I'm going to do the thermal water unloading depot in between episodes. But I've decided to jump straight into this episode without doing anything. I've done no prep between episodes because I pretty much have the factory building everything we need for this episode. Hence why I'm just extending the logistics system down here just to get it to bring everything for us because I'm a bit lazy and it's kind of what it's there to do anyway. And it's also so we can get some coal loaded onto the thermal locomotive. So yeah, we're going to be laying out the thermal liquid station to begin with. I've decided to go for maximum loading on both sides straight into tanks. I mean, either side's not going to load equally the way I lay it out, but I keep each of the 4 tanks essentially separate. So it should unload a train really nice and quickly. And the way I'll set up the circuit condition means that there's always space in these 16 Mark II tanks for a train to be unloaded. It'll never come in and find these full as long as I set it all up correctly. And we hit into our first problem of the episode. So I've sped up the footage for this bit because all we're doing is going and placing some more solar panels. But this is a problem I probably could have alleviated in between episodes, but oh well, we do it in the recording. But I've decided to speed up a couple of bits of the episode that are like this, just menial tasks, because there's actually an hour and a half of gameplay and I want to get it to as close to 20 minutes as I can. So we're now back to 3 times speed. So yeah, just to warn you, there are some bits of the episode which go up to 5 times speed, maybe even 6, because they're just things that I had to get done. I didn't want to stop recording. I wanted to keep it in it, and it just ended up with an hour and a half's worth of material. So yeah, I hope you guys don't mind a slightly longer episode. So yeah, with this layout, I think one side, the left side, will empty out before the right. But as each tank's going to be kept separate, it doesn't really matter too much. We take a signal from all those tanks just so we can keep an eye on what's in them, but they're not actually going to be the thermal liquid storage. We're going to have separate storage for that they will empty into, and a train will only ever come in if those 16 tanks are empty, so we'll always have more than enough space to receive a train, and the train will never have to sit waiting, unloading in the depot. And as long as this works really well, as long as it works okay, doesn't have any problems, I'm going to do the same with the crude. There's probably going to be an episode where I redo the whole crude processing area because it's not really great right now. It's kind of the wrong way around in terms of the depot. It kind of has to flow up past it. But we'll deal with that when it becomes more of a problem with the way it's laid out. So I'm having 9 Mark II storage tanks for the thermal storage area, which comes to a total of 45,000 units worth of storage. So we have a constant combinator there giving out a signal of minus 45,000 thermal liquid. A moment ago we also went up to the first thermal outpost and set the signal to close when thermal is greater than 0. So yeah, this should always be able to receive a full rail tanker's load of thermal liquid. But if anyone can tell me what, if anything, is completely wrong with that unloading area, otherwise I will do the same with the crude area. So we set up a bit of extra science. I want to get the purple and yellow science pretty much done at the same time. So this episode is mostly contains getting all the necessary things for purple science, which we may do next episode if we get it all ready, and then we'll have a look at working towards yellow science straight after. Yeah, so we'll get those both done fairly quickly, and then the only sciences we won't have access to is module and alien science. So yeah, those are fairly easily done. We'll get those through those nice and quickly, and we shouldn't be too far off getting the first piece of power armor, which is going to be great. We're going to have faster running legs, a few shields, personal roboport, which is going to be very handy. At this point, I try and look for the Angel's barreling machine. I can't seem to find it. Maybe I don't have the right mod installed for it. It might be a part of Petrocam. But we do have the tab for the barrels, which is a bit confusing because I wanted to barrel up some of that purified water, but sadly I couldn't find it. I gave up on that. So we do have a bit of storage for it and then an overflow valve just to make sure this does stay running and it doesn't seize up because we're not using any of the purified water. And there is a lot of purified water lying around. I do look at putting the normal barreler in from Bob's Mods. That doesn't seem to have purified water in there. So I do, once I realise, delete it and give up on that. So we have our 4 hydro plants creating our lithia water. 4 might be overkill or not enough. We'll find out later on. I do have the research for the next mark of hydro plant that's just finished actually. So if I'd have been a bit more proactive at the time, I could have upgraded those 4. But I'll do that at another time. But we have our lithia water being produced and stockpiled. Past me was having a second attempt at looking at the barreling machine because, yeah, I just wanted purified water to just be available anywhere in the factory, but sadly not. So we start working towards the next type of battery. Are they lithium-ion batteries? That probably makes sense with the lithia, but there's a number of steps required in this process. It will all be done on the Bob's sub-bus. And yeah, Bob's sub-bus starts to get pretty long in this episode. In my last playthrough, I didn't space out for beacons, but in this playthrough, I seem to have overkilled the placing for beacons. Yeah, there's space for a beacon on either side of every single row, which is a bit overkill. I probably could have done it with space on just one side or the other of each row, probably halved the length of the bus. But yeah, we're never going to run out of space for beacons. And there's always room now to expand. I can always use those rows that don't include beacons to add extra inputs and outputs of belts. So I guess it's very versatile in that sense. We've got plenty of space. It just means the Bob's sub-bus is ridiculously long and it does use up quite a lot of belts, but I've done it now and it's all nicely spaced out. It's nice and refreshing to have plenty of space on your bus to always expand, so I'm not really complaining there. We are going to have to pump this lithia water a little distance, so I put in a 4 pump module thing to put pressure into the plastic pipes. The plastic pipes do have really nice throughput, but with thick pipes, liquid is a bit weird, so having pumps does make it work a lot better. But in the end, it does give us a really nice thick throughput of lithia water. Again, if my theory on that is completely wrong, please correct me and I could probably change it. It's just we've got so much petroleum. I like using plastic because, yeah, it's one of the best pipes. It's not the greatest. I think, was it brass or bronze or one of those is got the largest underground distance and greatest volume. But yeah, different pipes for different stuff, I guess. And I kind of like the blue. It's very clear for when you're driving. You're not going to find it difficult to spot that bright blue in a hurry. So we get the purified water pipe down here as well because we're going to need that as part of the process. And I finally use a bit of the flow control mod to allow us to put pipes next to each other. I quite like that I quite like that mod for it allowing you to do that, which is kind of handy. If you're in a situation where you need 2 pipes or you haven't got enough space for pipes to be separated by 1 space, it allows you to have them next to each other without mixing it up. So we have our lithium chloride being produced. That just requires lithia water, nothing else. And I've only got 2 machines out now as it produces fairly quickly. And I'm just getting it laid out, again, like all the other Bob sections. And I'll expand it in length if it ever needs to be. If it can be done higher marked machines first, that'd be better than making it longer. But if it ever needs to be, it can always be as long as it needs to be. That's the design of this bus. So we then get the lithium perchlorate electrolysis setup, which needs the lithium chloride and purified water, which has a byproduct of hydrogen, which I vent for now, but I can always barrel it up if I ever need to use it anywhere else, or if I need it nearby, I'll pipe it because there's no point getting the bots to do it for me. So we then look at the next stages for the batteries. We need to make just pure lithium for the lithium cobalt oxide, which just needs lithium chloride, so that's fairly easy. We also need the cobalt oxide, which will need stone and cobaltite. So we come up and looking at bringing the resources for that down. So we're going to need the cobaltite, which we have a little bit of coming through. I still need to look at those dam sorting area circuits to make sure we're getting enough of that coming through. But I'll do that all at some point. Another thing we want to get set up this episode is the titanium. So while I'm up here, I look at bringing both the ores down, getting them lined up with their respective columns. I'm not going to bother, although I've never bothered in the past with putting silver ore on the Bob's sub bus. I always just get that done over in the bot area because it's never used in a ridiculous quantity, or at least I can't remember it ever doing so. So we kind of take that space up with the cobaltite, but we leave a column for the gold because of the way I've laid the chests out. Gold's going to come down in that little gap there between the rutile and the cobaltite. So we get this all extended down the ever increasingly long Bob sub bus, replacing a few of the yellow underground belts with red, just because it frees us up another 2 columns for belts, which was the original plan. That's how I counted out the ores, because it fits nicely in between the distance of a red underground belt, or at least all the ones that I need to bring down here do. And also, when we go to blue underground belts, that should free up another 2 columns for belts. I believe the blue is twice the distance of a red, so yeah, that frees up more space here and over on the main bus. So we get the second distraction in the episode from building, which is yet again caused by a lack of power. And very frustratingly, we get attacked at exactly the same time. Luckily, there are some sniper turrets there to take the place of the laser turrets, so we quickly come and place the solar panels we were slowly accumulating throughout the episode as I requested some. We then head over to repair the damaged defenses. So we're starting to get quite a lot of power from solar, but it's clearly still not enough. Also have a look at that little peninsula there sticking out with a load of biters. So I feel, for some reason, or past me feels the priority is to take out those depleted miners. We then come and put the laser turrets back in and find all the sniper turrets are pretty much out of ammunition. So it's good that we've come over and fixed this up, because this would have got pretty badly trashed. And we finally connect up the green circuits for the crude signal to crude 2, and we can now finally get back to building and back down to 3 times speed. That's just to get that over and done with a little bit quicker, so we can get back to building on the Bob's sub bus. I need to take another look at the recipes again, because this bit does kind of confuse me a little bit. There are quite a few steps just to get the lithium ion batteries, but we placed the electrolyzer Mark IIs, which are now being made by the factory. I think I upgraded that couple of episodes. I also got the chemical plant Mark IIs being made in the factory, so we can just request those. We get the pure lithium plates placed out, which just uses the lithium chloride. We are having to use a lot of landfill in this area, which does kind of go against my general rule. I don't really like using landfill unless I have to. It's just when I placed out the direction of the bus and everything at the start of the series, I didn't really realise how long the Bob sub bus is going to be. And it's going to encroach in this lake quite a bit. Hopefully we haven't got too much more to add to here, but we are about to clash with the Javolite mining area, which means after that we're going to start to extend out in the lake. But hopefully we don't actually reach the other side, which is where the big ominous cloud is. We have yet another power failure, which is not great, but I try and ignore it. Hopefully it's not going to be much more of a problem if we go through another day. Hopefully we've got enough solar, because that solar was placed out, and maybe the accumulated charge hasn't risen enough. I come back to grab a few more resources because the bots aren't bringing them down fast enough. I am asking quite a lot of them, getting them to bring it down here. And while we're looking around, I realise I'd messed up the blueprint a little bit when I doubled up the battery production. It had a missing pipe, so those 4 still weren't producing any. I was wondering why we weren't getting the normal batteries coming through at a higher rate. So yeah, kind of a bit bitty at this bit. I keep stopping and starting with production. I need to manually craft some chemical plants. It's going to be good when we get to the multi-purpose electronic furnace. I won't bother getting these made in the factory, but I will get the multi-purpose ones made, so soon we can get those requested. The lithium plates, or the just lithium, does take 3.5 seconds, I believe, but stuff like the cobalt oxide takes 7 seconds, so I'm going to have to place a few more chemical things out later on to get a better ratio of production, so it's all equal. But once it's all up and running, I can just stare at it and get it right at another time, which is kind of nice about this layout. And then I realise I've also got substations, so I start placing substations out. They are overlapping a bit, but that's just so that they can sit in the columns where the beacons will go. and they can also power the beacons, and it makes it a lot neater having all the inserters placed out in a nice, neat fashion. It makes me happy, which is what is important about Factorio. So long as the way you play makes you happy, it's always right. So I don't know if anyone's noticed, but my microphone has started playing up this episode. It's making a very weird continuous noise. I have no idea why it's doing it. It's not loud enough to justify having to do lots of retakes, as I'll do some bits, and I quite like the dialogue, and I don't really want to have to do the take again because I probably won't repeat it as well. And it's not loud enough to make the audio completely unusable, but it is very frustrating. But it's like a continuous sort of weird frequency noise. This is a second-hand mic, so maybe something's going wrong with it. I strongly hope not, because I really don't have the money to buy a new microphone. I kind of like this one, so it's very annoying. It started making this noise. I actually found out it was making this noise as earlier. I was playing around with my audio software. It has a load of voice changing stuff. I use it for the Bob's Angel of Death, and yeah, I had the monitor switch on, so it plays back to my headphones whatever is going into the mic, and it started making this horrible noise, and I thought it was because of the effects I was adding, but I've realized the mic started doing some very weird stuff. So I do apologize for that if it's very annoying. But yeah, it's not too loud. Hopefully I can work out what it's doing. I hope I don't have to take the microphone apart and get my soldering iron out, because I'll probably break it. But it doesn't always make the noise. It just keeps coming on and off. I try and keep an eye out for it on the software, because I can't actually hear it while I'm recording. So if it is doing it, I will stop, but I think it is actually making it at the moment. So yeah, the noise has now stopped. It's very frustrating, because you already probably know from past videos how fussy I am about my audio anyway. But yeah, we have finally finished the setting up of the production of all the everything's lithia and a bit of cobalt oxide. So we've got our lithium cobalt oxide, we've got our lithium perchlorate, and while I was talking about the microphone there, we also brought down the carbon and plastic. So we have everything to produce the lithium ion batteries, and they produce very quickly. I think 0.5 of a second it takes to produce a battery. So we can now lay out the output belt for the lithium ion batteries, and as we speak, my cat is absolutely trying to destroy my arm, so I'm trying to carry on and not let that distract me either. But yeah, lots of distractions today trying to get this done. So we get the belt put in, just making sure we're not clashing with anything else on the sub bus, and we get that laid out a little bit of the way. But while we're here, I also want to get production of the titanium going. I just have a quick look at doubling up the electrolyzer Mark IIs of the lithium perchlorate electrolysis, because it's already the obvious shortfall for battery production. But yeah, that's pretty much running now. We're getting quite a few lithium ion batteries being produced. And we have the third distraction of the episode. I take it up to 6 times speed for this one, just because it's one of the biggest distractions. I'll probably never go above 6 times speed unless for a really specific reason, because it does get pretty ridiculous at this speed. But yeah, we haven't been up to this wall since I think we built it. It's stood up its time pretty well. I don't remember ever coming to it. So what I do is I double up the sniper turrets for now. I'll probably put lasers in here at some point, unless we ever have a reason to push out that way. I probably won't. So we get a load of sniper turrets in, and we rearmed the sniper turrets at the Sapphirite mining, and we use file to head back down. But I decided to go to the Lithia water station, as that's the quickest way to get back to the production area. And we start looking at getting titanium done for the end of the episode to try and make this as productive an episode as we can. I don't need it to do the sciences, but I would like it for a number of things, like express stack inserters and a few other things. The next level of radar, pretty much everything uses titanium for its next mark. So we look at getting the calcium chloride for the titanium. I decided to use the calcium chloride production here because we're already making it. It does require a few stages, and it'd be a bit silly to do it all again. It does have a bit of a concern for throughput, but if I'm going to be putting beacons on just one side or the other of a row, that means we have plenty of room to have a second belt of calcium chloride. So imagine 2 purple or green belts of calcium chloride. It's going to be quite a hell of a lot of it. So we bring that down here. I commandeered the wood line because I don't think I need wood anymore. And if we do, we can just have that little area where we've got it piped in, and that can be the wood processing area for wooden boards and everything. We also bring down the rutile ore, which is also needed for the production of titanium. The last thing that we're going to need to set up will go below where the production of titanium is. So where that assembler is placed at the moment will be where the Bob's electrolyzer goes to produce the titanium. The output will go directly below the electrolyzer. So we have the three products we need to make titanium, and we've pretty much reached all the things I wanted to produce this episode. But past me is like, we're already at 20 minutes. Why not push our luck and get yet another resource added to the Bob's sub-bus? It is required for purple science, so we do get it done this episode, and it does mean we can get straight into purple science next episode. But yeah, it does push this episode up to nearly half an hour, so I hope you guys don't mind an extra long episode. I've said it before, I don't know why I get so obsessed with trying to stick with the 20-minute mark so much. It does come down to a lot of the time that's all the time I do have to record and then edit everything to get the video done for every other day. But yeah, the last product we decide to start making on the bus is the silicon nitride. So in my last playthroughs, I've never bothered doing this on the Bob sub bus. I get to the point where I have bots and I just get the bots to do the whole process for me, which is a little bit lazy because you do use it in quite a few products. And now with Science Revolution, we need it in the purple science. I think you need it in the old, science for Bob's mod. So I think that's right for the dark blue one. So yeah, it's not absolutely brand new that it's being used in science, but I decided in this playthrough, the Bob's sub bus is long enough already. Why not make it even longer? The only problem with this decision was it's going to clash with the Javolite mining, but stubborn me decides to continue, and I absolutely shoehorn it in at the end of the bus. Fingers crossed. When I was talking about the microphone earlier, I did disconnect it and just have a quick sort of look at it. I disconnected it, took it off the mic stand, and sort of, I didn't take it apart. I just kind of like held it upside down, looked at it for a bit. Wasn't expecting it to do anything. But fingers crossed, since then we've not had the annoying noise. So maybe this is the only annoying noise episode. Maybe I've had it in previous ones and I've not noticed it in editing. But yeah, touch wood, tempt fate. Hopefully that's the last time we get that. So for the silicon nitride doesn't sound exactly right, but I believe that's how it's spelt. I've never been great with pronunciation anyway. Needs nitrogen, funnily enough, and the silicon plates, which I brought down from the original silicon production area, which again is going to use even more of the calcium chloride, and the silicon plates themselves do take quite a while to produce. But again, if I place beacons out in such a way, we've got room to have a second belt's worth of input and output into that area. So yeah, there's going to be a huge amount of silicon produced there. I think in the past I might have done 2 lots of calcium chloride and silicon plate production areas, but in this one, let's just go for having one. We are bringing in beacons, so later on we'll be able to produce them at a pretty ridiculous rate. So we get that in for the powdered silicon. We rebuilt the Javolite mining bit, so it was going horizontal instead of vertical, which gave us a little bit more space. I don't know if we've got slightly less miners now. I wasn't really paying attention. I was rushing to try and get this done. But after the episode, I do go and put in some large area mining drills around the edge, just to get a bit of extra Javolite, because Javolite is a bit of our shortfall with regards to iron production at the moment. And nitrogen's very easily done. We're just using compressed air. We're venting the oxygen for now. I will probably barrel it up and use it in the factory later on, but just to get this running, I decide to just vent it for now, as it's just oxygen, it's free, it just comes out of the air. We just need a little bit of our energy from the sun to produce it. I don't know why I'm going so far to do that. I guess it's because this episode I've had to ramble on for nearly half an hour, so I am struggling for content now. But parts of me decides to do the job properly and take these last 3 products to the end of the bus, but he gets distracted again. He wants to find more reasons just to string out this episode longer and longer, because we are now producing a hell of a lot of calcium chloride. We're going to be using a lot of that stone now. I remember in my last playthrough, we ended up using a huge amount of stone for this process, which is kind of great because we're creating a huge amount of stone from the crushed stone from the angel sorting. We are using the landfill as an overflow because in terms of storage, turning it into landfill is the most densest way to store it. It's just we can't turn the landfill back into stone. I wonder if that's something they'll ever do. So rather than just warehouse up all the stone, I'm just using landfill as an overflow, but I'm sure once all this calcium chloride is running at full speed, we'll, won't really need to have an overflow. We'll use it quite rapidly, and then any extra stone I'm going to slurry up because we can, of course, turn that into any ore with the slag slurry processing, and of course the brown catalyst as well, which we're going to need for some of the combination sorting. I know you definitely need it for the gold combo sorting, and I'm sure there's a few others that will need it as well. So I'm probably going to increase the slag slurry production from crushed stone. So we've doubled up the calcium chloride production, which of course means we've had to double up the hydrogen chloride production and then the saltwater electrolysis. When I came here though, I did notice a problem with the hydrogen chloride production. It should be an equal number of electrolyzers to chemical plants for the saltwater electrolysis and the hydrogen chloride. But I noticed that there was a bit of a problem. You can see there that they're occasionally flashing red on the bottleneck mod. So when I produced the area, I must have placed the pipes down for either the hydrogen or the chlorine, then deleted one of them and not the other. It's then caused an imbalance in the pipes of one or the other resources, meaning that it's not a perfect ratio between the two. So they were flashing on and off when I got there. They are now, and the other ones are as well, because of course that system should all be connected together, although I can see already from here that the pipes aren't actually correct. But I walk off to begin with. I go and upgrade the battery chemical plants, upgrade those to the next mark, and then I realise, and my solution is to come and delete all the pipes, all of them. I do delete that row up at the top. Eventually those two machines in the middle had an imbalance of hydrogen or chlorine. I can't remember which one it actually was, and then I replaced the pipes. But I've now just noticed that those pipes aren't completely correct, so I'm going to go back in a minute after finishing this video to correct that, because it's still not right, but at least the ratio but at least the ratio should now be correct. But I'm going to go and check it, and I finished placing out the belts for the 3 products we've gone through and created this episode. But yeah, past me is determined to get it into the logistics system before we end the episode. We then have a problem with running out of the yellow belts, so I then get the bots to finish it for me. They can just take it straight from the base production and take that into the logistics system. I'll have a quick look just to make sure it's running at full speed, which it is. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the extra long episode. I hope my babbling and struggling to find things to talk about hasn't been too boring. Next episode, we're probably going to be doing some purple science now. We've got all the products we need for it, which we pretty much did in this episode, plus some titanium. But yeah, that's going to be all we have time for this episode. I do hope you have enjoyed watching, and please do come and join me next time. Bye bye.